Hey guys, today I'm going to shoot out my EVH Stealth 100 watt against the Driftwood Purple Nightmare, which is also a 100 watt amp. And we're going to find out which one is more brutal. That's the only thing that matters in this shootout, is just sheer brutality. So in this shootout, I'll be playing some full mixes and some isolated riffs on both amplifiers. And there's going to be several different battles in this shootout. So as you know, the EVH Stealth has two high gain channels. It has the blue channel and the red channel. The Purple Nightmare pretty much has one high gain channel in it, so I'll be putting that particular channel on the Purple Nightmare up against both the blue channel and the red channel on the EVH Stealth 100. I'll be shooting these amplifiers up against each other with and without a boost pedal, just so you can hear the comparisons under those circumstances. So what I've also done is chose the best boost pedal for each amplifier. For the Driftwood, I'll be using the Precision Drive by Horizon Devices, and for the Stealth, I'll be using the green mode on the Duality DX Pedal. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because I want these amplifiers to be set up with the most optimal settings and pedals that work best for them. Everybody knows that certain pedals work better with certain amplifiers better than other ones. So again, I'm just trying to make this as fair as possible. So let's get started with the ultimate fight between two ridiculously brutal amplifiers. And remember to pay attention to the bottom of the screen, because the amplifier I'm playing and the settings associated with that amplifier will be there. Along with that, the cab and the mics that I'm using with that cab are listed as well. So now let's hear how the blue channel on the EVH compares to the Driftwood outside of a mix. And I'm still boosting both amplifiers right now. This is really close. I mean, in the mix, I could hardly tell the difference between the two. There are subtle differences that I'll get into in a minute, but they both performed very well in the mix. Outside of the mix, the differences between the two amplifiers was more obvious. They have a different kind of top end, okay? So basically, the EVH has this really crazy attack on the top end, and it's a little brighter with some of the frequencies, but with the Driftwood, what I noticed was it's grittier and it's more guttural. So it really depends on what you're going for. If you want something that's got a little more of a spike on the top end, then you'd probably want to go with the EVH. If you want that really throaty, guttural, like two bricks rubbing together kind of thing, then you'd want to go with the Driftwood. Honestly, in this segment, I could go either way with these amplifiers. It really depends on what I'm craving that day. I mean, the Driftwood's got this just nasty, guttural, like dragging a heavy brick across concrete kind of sound to it. It's just that scrapey, really nasty, gritty sound. And it's kind of sticky in a way. You can kind of feel and hear the picks scraping across the strings a little more with the Driftwood. It's got that grit in it, and it's just amazing how that scrapey, gritty sound comes through. Whereas with the EVH, you do have that really nice top end that's got a nice attack to it as well. So I think you could go either way with these depending on your taste and what you're craving that day, just like what I said for myself. Now the EVH does have a little more saturation than the Driftwood as well, so it depends on what you're looking for there. The Driftwood's definitely a drier amplifier, and I think that's where that gritty, scrapey sound is coming from. So if you really like that dry sound, but you don't want something that's too dry and unforgiving, I think the Driftwood Purple Nightmare is like the perfect balance when it comes to that category. Now there are some drier amps out there than the Driftwood, but the thing I don't like about those amps is that they're so dry and unforgiving. They're not really fun to play. There's not enough meat on the notes, you know what I mean? It's all bone and just a little sliver of beef on there, you know? I want something that's kind of beefy, and the Driftwood Purple Nightmare really adds just enough beef on the notes to make it sound really big and fat, but it still has that nice dry, grainy texture to it. And if you prefer something that's a little more saturated, then you definitely want to go with the EVH because it's a little easier to play, it's a little more forgiving, and has a little more richness to the tone, hence the saturation. So right now I'd score them even as far as brutality goes. It just depends on what flavor of brutality you like. Okay, for this section, there's not going to be an overdrive pedal on either amplifier. I'm going to put the blue channel on the EVH up against the Driftwood Purple Nightmare. So without the overdrive pedal, the Stealth Blue channel was definitely much tighter and a little more aggressive than the Purple Nightmare. The Purple Nightmare wasn't super flubby and gooey, but it was definitely not as tight as the Stealth. Now something to keep in mind is when Merrick built the Purple Nightmare, he actually built it with an overdrive pedal inside of it. So you actually can use the TS9 circuit that comes with the Purple Nightmare. So in other words, he built the amp bearing in mind that there's going to be a boost incorporated with it, whether it's the boost that it comes with or an external boost pedal of your choice when you buy the amplifier. So when amp builders do that, they're anticipating the boost being there, so they're going to add more low end and more sculpting ability with the amplifier so that when you do slam it with the boost, it tightens up but still has enough low end left over to sound huge like we want it to. And I'm just bringing that up to be fair, because the thing is, if you make an amp super tight without a boost, but it's still not to the liking of the person who bought it, and they try to hit it with a boost pedal, now it thins it out too much and it just sounds terrible, and they end up selling the amp because it doesn't suit their tastes. So again, a lot of times builders will leave enough room in the low end so that when you do slam it with a boost pedal, it doesn't thin out and it sounds amazing. It still feels great. It has that nice chewy low end that we love, and it sounds huge and not like it's choking to death. And with the Stealth, we all know that it's Eddie Van Halen's signature amp, and he was known to not use boost pedals, so he wanted something set up so he could plug the guitar straight in and not have to use a boost pedal. Did he use one from time to time? Probably. I mean, I don't really know. I never got a chance to play through his rig, so anybody out there that has, feel free to chime in. But as far as I know, for the most part, Eddie's always preferred to just plug straight into the amp and not use a boost pedal. And that's why the Stealth is set up the way it is. I mean, seriously, the blue channel for a lot of people, depending on your style of playing and your taste and your pickups, you might not need a boost pedal. We're going to move on to the red channel in a minute and talk about that as well, so make sure you stick around for that. Alright, so in this segment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the red channel of the EVH Stealth and not use a boost pedal, And I'm going to put that up against the high gain channel in the Purple Nightmare, but I'm going to boost the Purple Nightmare again with the Horizon Devices Precision Drive. The reason why I'm doing this is because the red channel on the EVH Stealth is sick as hell. And honestly, for most people, if you're going to use the red channel for a rhythm channel, you don't need a boost on it. It's really tight and very aggressive. So I'm going to show you how tight and aggressive it is, especially when I compare it to the Purple Nightmare with a boost on the Purple Nightmare. Alright, so now let's hear how the unboosted red channel on the EVH Stealth compares to the boosted high gain channel on the Driftwood, outside of a mix. I am really shocked at how well an unboosted red channel on the EVH Stealth will keep up with any boosted amplifier, including the Driftwood Purple Nightmare. Seriously, I did not feel a difference when I switched back and forth between the amplifiers. I didn't even have to acclimate to the red channel on the Stealth at all. When I played it, I actually had to look down to make sure I had the boost pedal off, and it was off. It feels like a boosted channel. It really does. It's freaking amazing. Now, there's definitely some different textures and things going on between the amplifiers inside and outside of a mix. Now in this segment, I'd have to give the win to the EVH Stealth red channel. It didn't need a boost, and it just was brutal as hell. It felt great, it was very responsive, and it was fun to play, and it sounded amazing. And in order for the Driftwood to keep up with it, it had to be boosted. Now, again, that's not a bad thing. Like I said earlier, the Driftwood was designed around anticipating a boost pedal being incorporated with it. But there are people that are watching this video who probably don't like to use boost pedals or don't want to have to. So if you're trying to decide between these two amplifiers and you're one of those guys that just like, I don't really want to have to use a boost pedal, then the EVH Stealth is definitely going to be the amp you'd want to choose. Because again, it sounds and feels amazing on the red channel without the boost. The blue channel, I think some people could probably get away with not using a boost, but most people would want to use a boost with that channel, and it takes a boost like a champ, just like the Driftwood does. So between the blue channel and the Driftwood, I'd have to give it to the Driftwood because they're both being boosted because they need to. I slightly preferred the gritty, grainy, scrapey texture that the Driftwood had when I compared it to the blue channel on the Stealth when they were both boosted. So another cool option you have with the EVH Stealth 100 is you can use the red channel for both rhythm and lead, and depending on your taste and your playing style and your pickups, you may want to keep the boost off when you're playing rhythms, but when you play leads, just tap the boost pedal on and you have that little extra juice that you need to get through the solos. So now for the next segment, I'm going to listen to these amplifiers in the room and tell you what I'm experiencing in the room. Obviously, you're going to be hearing the mic cab, but I'm going to be listening in the room, and I want to see how much texture each amplifier has in the room and if it dissipates at all, especially when you compare them to each other. I mean, both of them have a ton of texture, but I want to see which one has more texture in the room and more aggression and just sounds more brutal in the room, because when we're playing our amps, most of the time we're listening to them in the room anyways. We're not listening to them through in-ears and mic'd up cabs, you know. So I think that's an important segment in this video, and I definitely want to touch base on that and let you know what I'm experiencing here. So there's going to be two comparisons in this segment while I'm listening to the amps in the room. Number one, I'm going to put the Stealth back on the blue channel and boost it again with the Duality DX Pedal. And I'm going to be boosting the Driftwood Purple Nightmare with the Horizon Devices Precision Drive. And number two, I'm going to keep the Precision Drive on in front of the Purple Nightmare, and I'm going to shoot it out in the room with the unboosted red channel of the Stealth. So let's start with the blue channel on the Stealth versus the Purple Nightmare now. Okay, so for that segment, what I noticed was the EVH was a little brighter in the room than the Purple Nightmare. Now, that could be a settings thing, but to be honest with you, I did everything I could to get these amplifiers to sound the best that they could on the mics and in the room. So I compared them to each other. I volume matched everything the best that I could, and I really think I brought out the best in these amplifiers. And what you're hearing on the mics is just a window into what's going on in this room, just so you know. And that whole YouTube compression thing evens things out a little bit, so that's something to bear in mind as well. So anyways, in the room, the EVH Stealth was a little brighter. It's not a bad thing. It wasn't ripping my ears off, but it was just a little bit brighter than the top end in the Purple Nightmare. Purple Nightmare was a little grainier and grittier, where the EVH Stealth was a little brighter, you know. Not harsh, just a little brighter. I think both of them performed very well in the room. but I noticed a little more texture in the Purple Nightmare because it's got that grit in the top end. It's that sizzle switch they put on there. That sizzle switch adds some really awesome frequencies and texture to the sound that the EVH Stealth just cannot mimic. They're just not in it. So they both do a different thing when it comes to the top end. They have a different kind of aggression. So like I said earlier, if you prefer something grittier and grainier and like two bricks rubbing together, then you definitely want to go with the Purple Nightmare. If you want something that has a little more attack, then you'd want to go with the Stealth. And the Stealth is a little more saturated as well. Like I said earlier, the Purple Nightmare is a little drier, you know. But man, it's so gritty and grainy. It's like rubbing your hands across a really gritty piece of sandpaper. It's just awesome. All right, so now let's compare the boosted Purple Nightmare against the unboosted red channel on the EVH Stealth in the room. Man, in a room, that's tough, man. I mean, they're almost identical in the room when it comes to the red channel unboosted in the EVH Stealth and the boosted Purple Nightmare. There is so much texture and so much awesome stuff in both of these amps, but again, with the EVH Stealth, no boost on the red channel. I kind of have to give it to the EVH Stealth when it came to this particular comparison, because man, without a boost pedal, the red channel on the Stealth is just ridiculous. There's so much texture and awesome stuff in there, and it feels great to play. I feel like I have a ton of authority playing that channel on that amplifier without a boost pedal. But when I have the Purple Nightmare boosted, it keeps up with it really well. I mean, it's almost a tie, but I kind of have to give it to the EVH red channel in this particular comparison, because it didn't need a boost pedal, and it sounded and felt amazing. I tell you, that channel on that amplifier is special. Seriously, like if you don't want to use a boost pedal with that amplifier, and your playing style is such that, you know, you could do leads with it as well without a boost pedal, that's such a great amp. You know, it really is. And I would see a lot of people using just the red channel in that amplifier and enjoying the hell out of it, because it just responds so well to your playing, and there's a lot of great tone and texture in that channel. There really is. And those of you who are watching that own the 100 watt Stealth know what I'm talking about. That red channel is money. It's so freaking good. So which one's more brutal? Well, to be honest with you, it's kind of a tie, because again, if you use the red channel on the Stealth and you don't want to use a boost pedal, then I would say you're probably going to like that one more. But if you really do enjoy using a boost pedal like I do, and you prefer a grittier texture and boutique amps, then you probably want to go with the Purple Nightmare. I hate to be that guy that's like, oh, it's a tie, they're even. But honestly, with this comparison, I've really learned a lot, and I hope you did too, because I really think, depending on your taste and whether or not you use a boost pedal and what kind of playing style you have, I mean, you're going to pick one of these amps over the other. I think they both performed very well in this shootout. And like I said with the red channel on the Stealth, I'm really shocked at how well it kept up with a boosted amplifier that it competed with. I literally did not have to acclimate to the red channel without a boost at all. Usually when I'm using an amp without a boost, I'm like, oh, it feels funny, or it's not that responsive, or it's kind of dead and flubby. Not so at all with the red channel on the Stealth. It's amazing. With the blue channel, I definitely would use a boost with it, but the blue channel is a little tighter than the Driftwood when neither amp is boosted. So it really comes down to whether or not you want to use a boost pedal and what kind of texture you like. If you like a grainy, gritty texture, get a Driftwood, slam it with a boost, and you're good to go. If you want to have the option as to whether or not you're going to use a boost or when you're going to use it, in other words, you can use the red channel on the Stealth and not use a boost when you're doing rhythms, and then kick the boost on for your leads. And you can use the blue channel as a lower gain channel or a different genre of music like blues or classic rock, and adjust your boost that you're using with that channel accordingly. So pricing differences between the two amplifiers, I mean, the Stealth is $22.99 and the Driftwood Purple Nightmare, the way I ordered it, is $3,500. And my Purple Nightmare has a mixture of KT88s and 6L6s in the power section, which I thought was really cool. And it also has a noise gate with it, so it's a lot quieter than the EVH, but you can get a noise gate for the EVH and take care of that anyways. But the Purple Nightmare does also have a TS9 circuit built into it, and the 3 knobs that are associated with that pedal. You have the volume, tone, and gain knobs as well. And it's a great circuit. It works really well with the amplifier. You're going to have 2 channels on the Purple Nightmare. A clean channel that sounds really good, and the high gain channel on it has 2 gain modes. It has a low gain and a high gain mode. I used the high gain mode today. And with the Stealth, you get 3 channels. You get the green channel, which is your clean channel. You get the blue channel, which is your crunch rhythm channel. And you get the red channel, which you can use for rhythm and lead. And depending on your taste, you may or may not use a boost with it. So in summary, I would highly recommend either one of these amps to you. They're both a lot of fun to play, and they're both freaking brutal as hell, and they sound amazing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. And to all my subscribers, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I come out with new episodes or go live. Well, I got a lot of great stuff coming up, and I'll see you on the next one.